Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
And hidden behind the screen are, well, John, we got a problem. We said this was a trio of trusted professionals, and you and I weren't in that group. So,
Wait. We weren't in the trio, or we weren't trusted, or we weren't professionals. What is it?
Be all of the above.
It's a multiple choice question.
Multiple question. Check that last one.
Ryan's trying to figure out a way to not be a guest again.
Huh?
Ryan's trying to figure out a way to not be a guest again. And stop rocking in your chair.
Sorry.
You look like Ray Charles.
Send him to the corner with a dunce cap. So
I'm just grooving in my own mind.
Welcome everyone to
Bob.
RVing in New England.
Bob,
Yes.
Let's do this.
Certainly. I don't even know what you want to do, John, but if you want to do it, do it.
Let's do this. Let's sit back for a second and let Chris and Ryan open the show and then bring us on.
Oh, that's a good idea. You guys,
Ryan.
Go for it.
Go, Ryan.
All right, everybody. Welcome to RVing New England tonight. Tonight on the show, we have Chris Dougherty and myself going over some technical stuff, and we have Bob Zagami and John DePietro doing the theatricals.
Play by play. Try your version, Chris.
Welcome to RVing in New England.
Hey,
Tonight we're going to have Ryan from Trick RV, Bob Zagami, and John DePietro live from the RVing in New England studio.
I protest. Why am I last?
The best come last.
Okay, thank you.
Because no, yes, absolutely. The most
Ryan,
beautiful come
you're
last.
back in my good graces, Ryan. You're back in my good graces.
I didn't know I was out of your good graces.
Ryan,
Well, you did when you took over
Ryan,
the show. Who's
Ryan,
coming in the door, Ryan? Who's coming in the door?
That was my wife. I don't know what she was asking me,
well,
but
tell Amy to come in and say hello.
babe. Hey.
Hey.
Hold on.
Hey.
That wouldn't work in my house.
Hi.
Hey.
This must be a different generation. Amy.
Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How is everyone?
Wait. We got more coming.
We have more coming.
We got more coming.
That's it for me.
The dog's laying by my feet too. It's a family affair in here
Well,
tonight.
you got the whole thing going. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Bye.
Is that the little boy? Is he the
Yeah,
other
that's
one?
Tyler.
Tyler, okay.
That's the one that's friends with Homie.
Yep.
Well,
Okay,
let's take a diversion there. Ryan, tell folks what you're doing with the kids and what John introduced you to and what the impact has been. It has absolutely nothing to do with tonight's program.
Well, no, Bob, it does, because one of the things that I learned from hanging around RVers is that they are a sharing group of people that whenever I went to those first Good Sam events up in Greenfield, they had food drives and they helped out the local food pantries.
Yep.
So it's not that far a stretch, but go ahead, Ryan.
You're right. There's
Back,
always a fundraiser. Yeah.
Back in December, I started. So I celebrated 5 years in business, and I really wanted to do something.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I really wanted to give back to the community and give back to the people that gave me the opportunities and helped me out along the way and all my customers and stuff. And so we decided, John helped us out and threw us on to the St. John's Food Pantry in Worcester, and we donated a nomination. We donated money to the food pantry, but I didn't want to just donate money. I didn't want to just hand them a check and say thank you, good luck. So we started going down there on the weekends, helping out on Saturday mornings, giving food out during the food pantry, and now it's become a regular thing. We go every other Saturday. I take my two older boys with us every other Saturday, and then the following every other Saturday, my wife and the little kids come and we help out and we give back to the community that's given to us.
Doesn't it make you feel great?
It really does. It does. And we've kind of became, we've started a thing where we go there, we do the food, we get done around 9:30, and then we go out to breakfast at a different spot around Worcester sometime, or every time we go out. But we go to a different diner. What was that?
Diner time.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
diner time. We like the Kenmore. The Kenmore's a good one. Have you ever been there?
Nope, that's right under the highway, right?
Yeah, where the warehouse fire was.
Fire was. No, never been in that one.
Yep,
Never
it's
been
good.
in that.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's nice.
As you know, we've been to Lou Rock's many times.
But yeah, it's just, it feels really good to give back to the community and help out, because I feel like this day and age, a lot of people are forgetting where they came from and how they got to where they are, and the people that helped them along the way. And it's a really good reminder that there's people out there that are less fortunate than you, and that everybody needs help every now and again.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And-
You are so right. We cannot forget our beginnings and people that helped us along
We have
the
more
way.
good news to share, and I'll give that to Bob in just a minute, but we want to welcome our friends at Spacious Skies Campgrounds, who are one of our sponsors.
Got to go higher, Dimitri.
Stand up, John.
Yep.
You're putting it out of the camera. So no, you missed it.
Yep.
Maybe you have to stand up.
That's what I thought, but I don't know what it is. But it's Spacious Skies. Our friends Allie and her crew are going to be our sponsors and hosts as we head. Supposed to be tonight. Supposed to be right now that we're heading for Florida, and then we moved it to tomorrow because if we left at 3:00 today, we'd hit the New York rush hour. And that wouldn't do much good. We've done that before. So you never leave New England, right, Chris? Never leave New England at 3:00 in the afternoon if you're heading across to Tappan Zee.
Right, if you have to go through New York, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, here's my thing. Don't go through New York.
Well, no. I go, which way do you go?
I go 84 to 81
Okay.
and go south
Seattle?
and then hop 80 around. And that takes me into the 495 around Baltimore, the beat up Baltimore Washington expressway.
Oh, you come
around the
back in
outside.
that way there. Oh, you come in before me.
Yeah, I've had too many bad experiences in New York City. I don't,
We've seen too many.
I wonder,
I've
never
in
seen,
Pennsylvania.
I've never seen a statistic, but I would love to see one on accidents every day between toll booths coming in from New Jersey and when you exit to either go up to Henry Hudson or go into just on the bridge, nothing else, just on the bridge, because you can't squeeze that many cars into so few lanes without 10 or 20 accidents a day for the guy that doesn't want to, let loose.
No matter what time of day you go through that area, there's always traffic. No matter what.
every time.
Well, you know what? Chris is smart. If you stay north, you miss it. But see, I've had too many encounters with deer on that stretch of 84 between Danbury, Connecticut, and Scranton before you hit 81. And a few years ago in 81, they had that snow squall just south of Scranton that 100 cars were off the road, and nowhere else. It was sunny. But you know what? It's always fun to hit the road in the RV, and we're looking forward to it tomorrow. I have the pregame jitters, though, because I'm always thinking, let's see, I've got the oil changed, I've got all my fluids right, I've got my tires inflated to the right height, the right PSI. But you always have those jitters.
Well,
before
John,
you hit the road.
with the expertise that we have behind the microphones tonight,
I know.
why don't you ask them each what's the one thing that you might have forgotten?
Okay. You just asked on my behalf.
Yes, I did.
Chris, the one thing I might have
Do you have
forgotten.
washer fluid? You're going to need washer fluid on the way going down south on this one, I'll tell you.
Washer fluid plus Rain-X.
Oh, good. I just did that on my truck. I'm down. By the way, I'm down in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
And yeah, I was playing Monopoly the other day, and I bought Reading Railroad.
Railroad.
See, so I had to come down here to take delivery. But no, in all seriousness, we're going to get a big icing event. But I've been down here in 3 weeks between I was up visiting Keller RV. We're doing level 1 class there. And it was 9 below zero in the morning. So that was lovely. And then I've been down. Yeah. And then riding 2 weeks. And so we had snow last week, and now we're going to have icing tonight. And so we've been doing the training at Reading Muhlenberg Career Technical Center.
Yeah.
And they closed early, so they are closed tomorrow. So we're actually doing a virtual class.
That's RVTI training.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. RVTI level 1 for the techs.
Yep. In fact, isn't Kurt your guest this week, Bob?
He's my guest on the Camper Report show.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so ask me a question, Chris.
Who played Wally and Leave It to Beaver? I don't know. What did you?
He already answered. He asked
you about the washer.
Okay, Ryan, your turn.
Did you, or I shouldn't ask him, did you, but have you had your tire pressures checked?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yesterday morning, Matt Fuller came over because I've been there all winter. And, I'm blessed that I've got experts like you guys that are nearby.
Have you run your generator?
Have run the generator. I've started it. I made a point of starting it when weather was really cold. I was starting it like every other day.
Yeah.
But
Full of
otherwise,
propane?
I'd get over once a week. But I'll tell you this thing here. You guys can relate to this, everybody. I said to Matt, do you think the ice is gone enough that I can exercise the slide to make sure I can put the slide out? He said, sure. We've had a couple days where it's been in the 40s, so the ice should all be gone. I didn't want to put stress on it if it was frozen. So I got the emergency brake up, and I got the engine running, and I hit the button, and all I hear is click, click. I said, oh. Good thing I didn't get all the way to Pennsylvania before I tried it. I'd hit the retract button instead of the extend button. So I went back and did it over again. I said, no, this is the button. So it went out back and forth. But I'll tell you, you always have those jitters. You come back and you turn the fridge on a couple days before to make sure that's working.
So were you doing it in the dark and just guessing which switch went to which direction?
No. I mean, it's clearly labeled, but I was so nervous.
I know that.
And it was so cold that whatever. Hey, maybe we should.
The cold does affect how you work outside and your mindset. When you're freezing, you got to slow down and think about what you're doing because your mind is trying to warm up.
Yeah, you're right.
We should recognize those who are here. Jim Conboy, New England RV Roof, and Jim is deep into the middle of show season. Did you have a good show in Hartford? Randy is sick. He sent us a note around 4:30, and Randy's got to be really sick if he didn't show up for one of our programs. So
he is down for the count.
Hopefully he's getting better.
It's going around. James Lebomsky, who's our director of education here at PRVCA, is also very, very sick this week. So haven't seen hide nor hair of him.
Not just Northeast. I can't tell you the number of people in our community who are down with either COVID or the flu. And I told John he's heading this way. The next 14 days in Florida are 83 to 87 degrees and bright sunshine.
I'm jealous.
Very looking forward to that.
Well, that's the worst weather to be sick in. When you get the flu and it's beautiful outside, I hate that.
Summer cold.
Why is that, Chris?
One thing I do
just
want to
because it's beautiful outside, you don't want to feel sick.
Yeah.
But it's like my dad would get sick because he lived in near you in Bonita Springs, and I'd go down to visit or whatever. I'd get sick, and it would be like, I'm down here, it's warm, it's nice, and now I have to have the flu. Really?
Take him to the Amigos on Bonita Springs Road, Bonita Beach Road.
He lived Pelican Landing, I think was the name of his development.
So it
was right on the 41.
Yeah, he's close by on 41. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I took
in the meantime, you don't mind getting a cold in the winter, but when you get a summer cold, you feel, even worse.
Yeah.
You feel even worse. But I did want to say that one thing I found out about Spacious Skies is that I wrote to them this week and said I'll be stopping in Savannah, and they called me back right away and said, we got the welcome mat out for you, but the entire management team is working this week in Western North Carolina, helping out the areas that are still ravaged by the flood activity that took place. What was it, in September?
Yep.
So, we talk about campground people helping each other out. I mean, you've got these people here that are helping the local town folks out, and they brought people in from all over the East Coast to do that. So congratulations to Allie.
It's interesting because after I left the hospital this morning, one of the benefits of the hospital that I go to up in Lee County, Lee Health.
The veterinary hospital?
I've been there. Not the veterinary hospital. I haven't been there.
They're fantastic, but it's only 15 minutes from Krispy Kreme. So, before
you know where this is going, folks.
I'll be going for a doctor's appointment, and May will say, "Are you going to stop at Krispy Kreme?"
Bob, no, you can't do that. You're from New England. You have to go to Dunks.
Yeah. But
is there a lot of Dunkins in Florida?
Yes, I got one here, right in RV. It's 5 minutes from my house.
No kidding.
I will say
they're all over the place. Yeah,
the Krispy Kreme donuts are so much better than Dunkin', but the Dunkin' coffee is so much better than Krispy Kreme's coffee.
Right. You don't go.
I'll agree with you on that one.
You don't go to Krispy Kreme for coffee. But so I decided, because of my good news, I should probably tell people.
Wait a minute, you haven't told people.
Please.
What's that?
You haven't
Please
told
tell.
news.
Yeah, I should tell you. If you wonder why I've been wearing the hat for the last 6 weeks, I had surgery on my head, and I had cancer inside my head, and they were concerned because it was a little bit aggressive and spread. So they did a surgery about 3 weeks ago, and today I got the results. And despite how wide it spread and how deep it went, they got every speck of tissue. I am cancer-free. I don't even have to go back to visit them for 6 months. Totally free. And they did thank you guys. They did a skin graft. It's crazy. The technology today is incomprehensible. As soon as my surgeon was done with the cancer surgery, and they bring in a team behind her, and they do the skin graft and plastic surgery right at the same time. So before I leave the hospital, I already got my head put back together. You got to put ointment on it. You got to take care of it for such a while. And that doctor, I saw him today, and he says, I'm done with you. He says, this is healing beautiful. But I call it, I really do. I call it the miracle surgery. It is absolutely insane. I was there half a day on the surgery. The day I walked out of the hospital, I have had no pain, and I have not taken any medication, not an aspirin, not a Tylenol, nothing. And the hip where they did the surgery to pull the skin off, I didn't even know it's there. No pains from that. There was no pains today when he took out the stitches, and they can't believe it. They, it was like, he's not normal. You guys have known that for a long time. See, so anyway, I did take a slow road home, and I went to Krispy Kreme to get my donuts.
How many did you get?
Huh?
Did you get a whole dozen?
I got 16 minis.
16?
They have
the mini ones. Donut holes?
Yeah.
What, the little mini
They're like
thing?
munchkins, but the little munchkin things, but they're not munchkins.
They have donut holes too, but minis are the same donut but smaller. They don't have filled ones. It's all the glazed or the.
I gotta try these Krispy Kreme donuts. I've never been to one.
Well, you have to go to Mohegan.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go a long way, Ryan.
So I'm sorry, you guys, but West Springfield, Massachusetts.
Do you?
Donut dip. Donut dip.
Donut dip.
All right.
Yep.
Absolutely the best. I'm sorry, but none of the chains can put.
Ryan, next time you get out that way, it's on Riverdale Road.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And they've been there for, 60, 70 years.
Yeah, it's a 1950s building. I mean, you walk in, it's a time warp.
Yep.
And it's right on the side of Riverdale. And sometimes there's tractor trailers pulled on the side of the road to go in there and whatever. But it's wonderful stuff. And every time I go up to Tim's, I say, "Hey, Tim, I'm coming up tomorrow." He says, "You going to Donut Tip?" Yeah. So I bring a dozen up with me. So we're meeting at the Big E on Monday to do move-in. So I'll probably have to run over there and get a dozen for the guys before we start moving into the show.
Yeah, so what I did was I took the beach road. I went over to Fort Myers Beach and came down
41.
Cerro Boulevard, right on the water.
Yeah.
Goes down to Bonita Springs.
How was the damage?
It's remarkably, this is the first time that I said I could see real progress. Most of the plots have cleared. They may not have anything on them, but there's certainly prime real estate. So that's heating up with the for sale signs, but the houses that have been restored are fantastic, and a lot of, I mean, you notice it every other one and what have you. So it was a good trip. Usually that trip is very morbid to see what they have, but all the oceanfront lots have been cleared. The sand is down back on the beach, and they're just waiting for somebody to either rebuild it or go through it. And Doc Ford's at Bonita Springs, they're back open. Most of the places are open, but it was good. It was really good to see that. And do it.
Yeah.
So let's see. All of a sudden we had a flurry. It was like they were in a different time zone or something. Evening, I am late. Sorry, fixing a neighbor's RV. There you go. Level 1 certified tech, Dante Vesperani on call at the campground.
Yeah, Dante, good
Dante,
man.
You missed that conversation, Dante.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, stay off the GWB.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I never go over the course. I never go. Look at Zagami is the George Washington fan. Every time when we used to come back from Hershey, I'd say, go around, go up to Tappan Zee. No. The GPS. And we get stuck in that damn George Washington Bridge, no matter
95
what.
When
you always think it's going to be smooth, and you look at your GPS and you go,
never,
wow, it always says that.
No, you never think it's going to be fluid. But when I came up for Christmas, when I got to New Jersey, it kept telling me to go to George Washington. I said, this is stupid. We're like 3 days before Christmas. I can't go there. And every sign I saw said, go to the George Washington. Then when I got to the break, either bail out or go, there's a sign that says upper level, 28 minutes, lower level, 22 minutes. That's impossible. And guess what? I said, screw it. I'm going to take it. 22 minutes from the toll booth to the Henry Hudson Parkway. 3 days before Christmas.
When COVID first hit, I went down to Maryland to pick up a motorhome. And it was me and another guy. And this was right when everybody had to stay home. There was nobody out. It was the oddest thing in the world. We cruised right through the Cross Bronx over the GW. There was maybe 5 cars. It was like that movie with Will Smith and the dog. I forget the name of it. Like the end of the world had happened. You couldn't see that again ever. It was one of those things.
I don't have a problem with the George Washington if it's in fact clear. But you can't pay me enough to go to Cross Bronx, because as soon as I get over there, I go up to Henry Hudson and come across and go up the Merritt Parkway. But the Cross Bronx has got to be the most potholes, the most asphalt.
Oh, yeah. You can't go on any parkway. You can't go on any parkways with campers. So
no,
right.
Yeah. I can't even with my truck.
All right, so Jim, how much snow you got up there in Monmouth, Maine? I mean, it seems like there's been a lot of snow coming across. Late again. All right, Don, we'll just accept it. Don says, our nearest one here is almost an hour away. He's talking about Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme or Dunkin', one of the two.
No, but he's talking about Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
Because, to do a franchise on Krispy Kreme, you have to buy 3 of them at $350,000 each.
Oh, that's like buy one for $1 million and get 2 free.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jim. Great. It is indeed great news.
That was quick. That was good,
Hey,
John.
Thank you, John.
You know, let's come to the realization here of one thing. It's almost halfway through the show, and we haven't touched a topic that has been advertised yet. So, since I'm the only one who is cognizant of giving our viewers what they came for,
Who's paying?
over the show.
The only one who's paying attention to the topic?
Yep. What I'm going to do is say
the topic is void because we said
Topic
a trio
is
of
void.
trusted professionals, and we couldn't get a trio, so we have every right to go off topic.
okay, because Randy.
Just blame Randy.
Because Randy is under the weather.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. Let's start with Ryan and say, Ryan, here we are in early February. There are people that have had their units put away since, say, Thanksgiving, and they're not going to take them out for another 8 weeks. What are some of the things that, if they have access to their motorhome or RV or travel trailer or fifth wheel, whatever you want to call it, what are some of the things that they should take into account and be looking for at this stage of the winter?
To just kind of go outside. And so if you don't have a cover on, it's definitely a good thing to get up on the roof as long as there's no snow or ice up there. Get on your roof, check your roof out, make sure there's no debris that fell, no sticks, nothing on top of the roof that, might have fallen onto a vent and broken a vent or something like that. Then it's a real good idea to go in the camper, open some of the drawers, kind of look around, make sure there's no mice droppings or signs of mice in there. Take a look around underneath, make sure you don't see anything out of place. There's no, walk around the camper, take a good look around, make sure there's no, it's been very windy around here too. So it doesn't take much to have wind catch like a plastic fairing over your wheels and rip that off. So good idea to just walk around, give it a once over and make sure that nothing looks out of sorts and that there's no mice, a lot of mice poop or anything like that. And no signs of heavy mice traffic inside the camper. And
Okay.
that no water signs also.
No, I'll ask Chris to contribute to this also, because there are so many theories about how to keep mice out. And one of the theories that everybody says, two of the big ones are dryer vent sheets and Irish Spring soap. Would you discuss either or both of those? Chris, why don't you take the soap, and Ryan, you take the dryer vent sheets.
Okay, well, mice love soap. They eat it all the time. It's fatty. They love to put it in their nest, that type of thing. So I can tell you, I've done a lot of mouse work on RVs over the years, and there's not much I haven't seen in a mouse nest, and soap is one of them. And I think Ryan will probably agree. The dryer sheets, I've seen those in mouse nests. They don't seem to care about it.
The dryer sheets, the soap, I've seen little teeth mark inside the soap bars. The mice eating them, and then the dryer vents, it actually helps them. They take it and they drag it and they put it into their house and they use it for more insulation. So it's really, really difficult to keep mice out. The mice can fit into a hole that big and they can crawl. I've had really good luck over the years with cupcake tins and mothballs soaked in peppermint oil. But I hear from customers, some people say that dryer sheets do work. So it's kind of your preference. I don't believe in the soap and I don't believe in the dryer sheets. I think there's better alternatives out there, such as
Like that mint spray. I've used that mint spray with pretty good luck.
So there's a product out of Canada called Mouse Free. And if you have a kind of a severe recalcitrant problem with mice, it's certainly an option, and it's not inexpensive. The kits come with the product plus an air sprayer, so you
that's the stuff you spray underneath, Chris?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I ran into that last week.
Yeah. And so it's a lubricant that is infused with the peppermint oil. So 1, they don't like the feel. 2, they can't get a grip. 3, they don't like the smell of it. And so some years ago, a good customer of mine had a Monaco Windsor that He just had repeated heavy mouse problems and a lot of damage. And so we finally got to a point after we repaired the damage the third time, we took the whole, all the paneling off of the inside of the basement compartments. And once we cleaned out all their nesting, we sprayed all through the frame rails all the way up with the mouse free. And he had problems with squirrels. He got a squirrel that got trapped in there and dug through the side of the compartment. There was a lot of plumbing and wiring that was damaged. The HWH controller we had to send back to the factory a couple of times.
Wow. The stabilizer?
Stabilizers.
Yeah, they have a
What, they ate the
electronic
wires?
box. Yeah, they got into the holes in the side of it and nested inside of it and destroyed the box. So you have to pull it out and send it to HWH, and they rebuild it and send it back.
Let me ask a question, because it kind of reverse of what John asked. My first RV was, well, actually it was a motorhome, and we parked it in our backyard on the grass, not on cement. I mean, I knew nothing. The only thing I knew at that time was you spelt RV with an R and a V. I mean, I was clueless. I put a blue tarp on it. I did everything you shouldn't do. I locked it up and what have you. I did that for I think we had the motorhome for 5 years. We never, ever had a mouse or mouse droppings. I didn't do anything to protect against it. Mm-hmm. I just that lucky guy, with the cancer. I just happened to get the lucky thing, because I didn't even know who to ask for it. I didn't know what magazines to read. I had just bought a motorhome because I thought a motorhome would be nice to have for the kids.
It's also the situation. I mean, the environment that the motorhome's parked in. If you're near a real wooded area, it's going to attract a lot more mice.
No, it was just a big backyard with grass and near the pool area, but the woods were probably at least 100 yards away.
Yeah. They look at an RV in the wintertime as a nice hot hotel.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and if the mice have a better place to go, they're going to go there. And if you have a lot of neighbors who have pest control, so they might have outdoor poison traps or different things that these exterminators do. If the colony is not there, it's not going to be an issue. But when you live in an area that has a high, a large number of mice and a large colony, then they're going to be looking for anything they can get into. Cars, RVs, doesn't make any difference.
It's funny you say that, because my neighbor had a big fifth wheel. Of course, I didn't even know what a fifth wheel was either. And he didn't cover it. But we never talked much. It was early in my understanding of what an RV is. And I worked a lot and he worked a lot. So I never had, I didn't know enough to have that kind of a conversation with him. But maybe all my mice went over to his yard.
Mm-hmm.
If you're plugged into shore power all winter, and a good thing, my parents actually use them. They plug into the outlets and they send off a sound that only the mice can hear. And
really,
they've actually had pretty good luck with them. And then I have another customer that has similar. It plugs in. You have to be plugged into shore power all winter, but theirs actually you can hear the sound when you walk in. It's the most annoying thing when you're trying to work on their camper. But I always unplug them. But they swear they have not had any mice since they put those in there. I've never used them. I've never bought them. I've never other than seeing them in their campers. But they say they work too. So it's kind of like one of those things where.
Any idea what they're called or what the brand is?
No, but I can find that out for you.
Okay. No. See, if Walter Swenson was on with us tonight.
Yeah, where is he?
I don't know. He was out looking at rockets. He had spaceships going on.
SpaceX. Well, that was last night. It was 9:00 last night for that. Oh no, that was 9:00 last night. I think Blue Origin was going up today, so he may Yeah, he may be out checking the.
Walter would have the thing. Walter would be looking it up right now, and within 10 seconds, he would have a link for that. But,
how do you guys? How do you get? This was a topic, so this is part of what we're supposed to be talking about. I know in any industry, consumers they would like to talk to the technicians or the people in charge rather than the person who sold it. And how do you handle those types of questions? You might be in a show working for one of your dealers or something, but you get that guy that says, "Hey, can you move over here? I got a question, but I don't want everybody else to hear it." How do you handle that stuff? Chris, you take it first.
You know what? I try to be helpful. You know, anybody who asks a question, you know, and they have, you know, an inquiry, I'll try to help them out. If it ends up getting into something where it's more of a sales related, you know, question, then I refer them to the appropriate person. But if they're asking about the product or whatnot, there's a couple of things. So, you know, if I know the particular product really well and I can answer their questions, or I have something at my fingertips that I can refer to from a standpoint of specifications or whatever, I'll answer it. One of the things is a lot of the shows we go to, we have factory reps there, and so that we know their particular product inside and out. And so when you can speak to one of the factory reps, it really helps out quite a bit, you know, about a specific product.
Yeah.
So I don't deal direct, I don't deal with a lot of dealerships per se, but I do have a lot of customers that buy their trailers new at the dealership, and then when they receive the trailer, they feel more comfortable in my eyes asking me the questions they weren't comfortable at the dealership asking, just because they were so nervous to pick up and everything. But it's also, I feel like a lot of people feel comfortable talking to the tech side because myself, you tell it how it is, and you explain how to use things in a language that they can understand it, and give them a sense of good feeling that they're, just basically, we're not trying to sell them anything. We're trying to help them understand what they purchased and what ways to use it and to get the best out of what they purchased.
Yeah, it's a good point because, obviously when you get into the show environment, and if you look across the country, overall, for the most part, almost all of the shows are in a decline. I don't care what the weather is. Hershey was down, Tampa was down. And I think we're at a stage and maybe a shift in the consumer awareness where they don't think they're going to get an answer at the show. And they know they can go back to the dealer. So they might go to the show and just look at 5 different fifth wheels that they want, but then extend that to the dealer. Where years ago, certainly prior to the internet, if you didn't buy at the show, you didn't buy for another year because you didn't have any exposure to what was out there. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think you'll continue to see decreases in the attendance because they try to run the show like their dealer lot. And I've never understood that. And I'm not a dealer. I'm not knocking them. They can run their business any way they want and do whatever they want. But if you look at the way they do it in the United States versus what they do in Europe, it's completely different. When Europeans come over to an American consumer RV show, they just shake their heads and wonder who all the crazies are that are running around. Because in Europe, at Caravan Salon, they take gigantic spaces and they space the units out. So in a space that an RV dealer would put 80 units in, say, the Boston show, they might have 20 units. But next to each one is a couch, a bar, a beautiful carpet. It's saying to the people, sit down and I'm going to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to try to sit. They don't try to sell them anything. Go through that. I just, with all those shows that we've had, and I've talked to other dealers, I've tried to put together shows like that. It's not ready. They're just not ready for it. So consequently, the customer is given the same environment that they would have if they go to the dealer. So they say, well, the hell with it, I'll just go to the 4 or 5 dealers that I want. Are you feeling any of that at all? Chris, take it from the top, and then we'll get back to Ryan.
So I do a number of shows around the country, especially this year. I've started with RV Super Shows. And so going to different markets. When I was with Good Sam, did the same thing. And so it's interesting to see how people react to the shows and what kind of traffic you have there. And so, I was at the Mobile show this year, which was relatively quiet. It's a downtown show down on the waterfront, and right first weekend in January, right? So this year it was a little bit quiet. But then, there's times where I've gone to the Springfield show, and you can't move. It's like a herd of cattle. It's just unbelievable how packed those buildings can be. So it's going to be, knowing how packed Springfield's been in the past couple of, 10, 20 years, it's going to be interesting to see next week what that's like. That's going to be my better gauge. And then I'm doing Chattanooga and Charleston in March. So we'll see, what those are. I think obviously since the pandemic, we've seen sales numbers come down to a certain extent. And I'm a little concerned about the show numbers dropping off, especially Hershey was down a little bit, Tampa being down as much as it was. Usually you have your snowbirds and all those people that are piling in there. So
didn't Tampa get nailed the last day, Chris?
They had a day of torrential rain. The last day was just, and the people that have worked at the show for years just said they never saw anything like it.
Yeah, and a rain on Sunday versus rain on Thursday doesn't mean it means a lot of different things, I think.
Well, the Tampa show has always had a lot of the retiree snowbird, people there. So during the week, it was always very busy. So, not saying that Sunday's not, but the years that I've been at that show, it's always been pretty busy. So but rain will absolutely push people away. I mean, they don't want to deal with it.
Well, they did this
for good reason.
They used to have the senior day just on Wednesday. So you got a big influx on the first day, but it was really, for the most part, non-buyers. Mm-hmm. And what they did a couple of years ago is they took the senior ticket and stretched it over 3 days so they could get that price Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before Saturday came in. So it leveled out, but the total attendance was still down. So it just gave the seniors more days to go.
Yeah. I think your idea, I mean, having, especially, look, an RV is a major purchase. And so there's a lot of people that sit there and say, well, we have to have all our floor plans in front of people and whatever else. And that environment has worked in the past. I mean, I've seen sales go off at Hershey and other places that just the numbers are astonishing, right? And but I like the idea of having a little bit more of an intimate sales relationship, or environment, right? To talk people into it. In Mountain View RV in West Virginia, did a level 1 class for them last year, and they've kind of built their business. A great couple and a great staff there, but they've built that kind of like that, and that was really interesting to see.
One thing I've learned is a lot of people this day and age they like the one-on-one with people. They like when I show up to their house to work on their camper, they like the one-on-one. They like that they're not dealing with somebody up in a corporate office. They're dealing with me directly. They're not dealing with a service manager. They're not dealing with, and they really like that. So when they're purchasing an RV, it's the same thing. They like to feel comfortable. They like to feel like you're looking out for their best interest, and you're going to provide them with the best possible camper you can and the best floor plan you can. And I feel like most people that are serious about buying campers these days, they've done their research well before they've gone to these shows. Right? And they're going to these shows to take the piece of paper from the internet and put it into in front of them, and they're looking at it that way. We have a very educated market now with buyers, I believe. And you still get the people that go to these shows and they just end up buying a camper that they didn't think they were gonna that day. It's just an impulse thing. But most people these days are educated, and most people these days really enjoy the one-on-one that they get with people, and that makes them feel good about their purchase.
Hey guys, well, first of all, we want to thank Brad Schofield for doing some research and putting us the link here. Brad, I didn't get a chance to click on it, but does it say what the price is of that product? Because I did a little research seconds ago, and one of the ads said, don't bother wasting your money on any of these. Yeah. And some said it works great. So, one thing about the RV industry and RV products and RV solutions and RV shortcuts is that what works for some won't work for all, and what works for all sometimes won't work for anyone. Like, see, there you go. Jim Roy says dryer sheets work for him. In other, okay, $39, $40. Okay. We've only had a few minutes left, but how about the engine side of the product if you've got a motorized product? How about starting it up? How about the opportunity if there's not snow piles? What do you suggest about if you've got the opportunity to take it out for a spin, just so that the tires aren't sitting on the same?
That's a very good idea. If you have the ability to take it out at least once a month, to take it for a ride, and just even if it's a few mile ride, it gets all the lubricants moving, it gets the oil moving, it gets the transmission. When you start it up every day or every couple weeks, it obviously moves the engine oil. But as far as driving it, you're getting the brakes working, you're getting all the fluids in the brake system moving, everything's moving. So it really helps out. If you have the opportunity to do it, that is a great idea.
Yeah, I know in my case, the last thing I wanted to do was to start the key, start the engine, go home, load it up, and then head for Florida, and then find out, when we're on the Mass Pike and Sturbridge, that something wasn't working right. So what I was able to do, and Ryan, tell me if I did this right, or Chris, I didn't take it right out onto 290, onto the highway. I let it run for 10 minutes. Then I took it on a surface road for 5 miles. Then I put it on 190 and 290 and drove it back. Did I do that the right way, the right methodology?
Chris, there's no problem with that. I mean, that's fine. You kind of work it into it and make sure that everything is functioning right. Not a bad way to do it. I'll also add to this with generators, right? So if you've got a motorhome that has a gen set, Cummins Own-In recommends that you run your generator 2 hours every month under a 50% load. When you put your RV away for the winter, you should be making sure you're putting fuel additive in your fuel tank, whether it's gasoline or diesel, running that through the chassis engine, and then also the genset. And if you've got a propane genset, it's not as, there's no additive to put in it. But running it is really important, and I learned this doing the training with Cummins, is that you get moisture in the alternator, the generator, which can start corrosion. And that's one of the biggest problems with these gensets. There's people that take these very same generators, they put them in mobile grooming trucks or, whatever, and they run these things for tens of thousands of hours and hardly have any problems with them at all. And yet a lot of RVers are saying, geez, my genset doesn't work, after 2 years. And a lot of that is just because it sits a lot. The gasoline generators, you get varnishing in the carburetor, which is an issue. The newest ones are fuel injected now. So the I series that is now up through the 7,000 watt model is, they're just different. They're inverter generators. But even so, running it, there's nothing better for it. And so making sure you try to run it every month is going to be the best thing for it.
It's interesting because that day drove down from Maine, and now he's in a campground down here, and I suspect the tires are on the ground and he doesn't do anything, although he does mention that he starts up the unit and then he runs the generator every month. But there's a lot of people, and I never understood it, that have motorhomes or large fifth wheels, and they take them to New England in the summer, park them for 4 months, 5 months. Then they drive them down to Florida. They park them for 4 or 5 months. Why not buy a park model or something? But there's, like for Dante, he's got a motorhome. So what is he doing it right? He starts it. He runs the generator every month. But you're not turning the wheels. You're not taking. Should he be taking it out for a drive once a month?
If it's possible, it's not going to hurt anything if he doesn't have a lot of stuff around his campsite. And if it's possible, it's definitely a good idea to do it. And if you can't, and you have a lot of stuff set up around your campsite, and you're unable to move it as conveniently as it would be, if the convenience isn't there, at least I would run your slides in and out every few weeks, once a month. Run the slides in and out, because what can happen is your gears can rust from sitting, depending on the climate you're in and what time of year it is and everything. And you don't want to have an issue when it's time to leave the campground the day before and you're running everything and you realize that the stuff that is stuck or the landing gear is not coming back up, and because your leveling system's not working properly. So it's a good idea, if you're sitting for a while, just run the leveling system up and down, get that working, get as much as you can, as much moving parts you have on your camper that you can get moving on your campsite every once a month. It's a very good idea to do that.
That is great input, because like you say, the last thing you want is, honey, is everything loaded up? Yeah, we're all set to go. And then you turn the key and all hell breaks loose.
Click.
And the same thing goes with a motorhome. If you start the engine, let it warm up, you can also, while you're parked, put the brakes on, especially with air brakes. That helps a lot to actually move the actuator on each brake and build up your air pressure. And then you can put it in drive, put it in reverse, even if you're not moving anywhere. But as you're switching gears, you're moving transmission fluid. You have the engine getting warm. The oil pump is, circulating oil in the engine, which is always good for it, right? So that you're making sure you're continuing to lubricate the whole motor. These things do make a difference, absolutely. So
it's interesting. I remember back when I first had my first park model, and we were at Wild Duck Campground in Maine, and the guy across the street from me had, at that time, which was probably 10 or 15 years ago, $500,000 Monaco motorhome. Monaco is still in their heyday. And he would drive it from Florida to Maine, and he would put it in that campsite, and it never moved until it was time. He didn't do any testing. He didn't do any driving. $500,000. And he just, in the fall, we'd wave goodbye to him, and he'd go to Florida, and he'd do the same thing in Florida. Never.
Well, I guess if you have the money to buy that rig, you have the money to call myself or Chris or somebody out to fix it when you get ready to leave.
That's a good way to end that discussion. Guys, I appreciate you coming on. Randy, I'm sorry that I know Randy is really sick. We haven't had a single comment from him. So he's definitely under the weather.
I had this bug over the holidays, and I think I've been on the road here three weeks. I was traveling before that for the show, and I haven't gotten sick again, knock on wood. And I almost thought I was going to, but I got I got a little feel of it and it went away. So I think I've gotten over that bug. But at any rate, it was miserable. My wife and
several hours a day in an arena. In a convention.
I was. Yeah. When I went down to Mobile, Alabama, I was there all day.
So
These 3 weeks, I've just been with classroom. I've had 5 to 11 students in each
breathing
class.
that air that just doesn't move around like if you're outside.
Yeah. So Springfield ought to be interesting. You know the Big E, John.
Yep.
And, when they pack that place for this RV show, you almost have to rub on some of that grease to get around inside because it's so tight. Everybody's got to slither around,
Yeah, we've been there many years. Won't make it this year, but.
Well, that's one of we can finish up on this topic, but that's always been one of the things that bothers me about the consumer RV shows. Everybody wants to know what's the attendance. Every day we did the show in Boston, the dealers come by. How many people? How many people? I don't care how many people they get through, as long as they get qualified people. I'll take 5,000 qualified people in a room for 3 days, then 20,000 people, shoulder to shoulder. Number one, you can't pre-qualify them. Number two, 80% of them are not buyers. They'll never own one. They don't. It's just it's crazy. That's why I love the European model.
Yeah, but you don't know. In all due respect, Bob, my thing on it is that there's people that come to shop the lifestyle, right? And they, whether they're qualified or not, they may not be buying then. But there's people that shop RVs for years before they pull the trigger.
That would be me.
Yeah, and my sister and brother-in-law were easily a decade looking at RVs and coming to RV shows with me, and they had no intention of purchasing until they did. And so part of it is selling RVs. I think we also have to sell the lifestyle. I always argue that we're in the travel business more than we're in the hardware business. Mm-hmm. And so our competition is Carnival Corporation or these resorts on whatever Papa Mau Island or whatever in the hotels. That's our competition, and so the hardware that we sell is helping to provide that lifestyle. So people got to have time to interact with it.
Well,
but sometimes you don't get that when there's 20,000 people. Go ahead, Brian.
Well,
I have seen customers, and I've talked to customers that have not bought a trailer because of something that one thing is not in the right space in the interior floor plan, and that deters them from buying that camper. So you have a lot of people out there that are very serious, but then these shows also offer, let's just say my wife and I and the kids, we went to a show and we weren't really interested in camping. Well, guess what? When we get to the camping show, the kids are going to be interested in camping, and they will, they might persuade you to, hey, that'd be a good idea. Let's give it a shot. Let's try it. And it's one of those situations.
It's an emotional buy. That's how I bought my first.
Absolutely.
I went with my brother-in-law who was a camper, and he was looking for a new camper. I just went to keep him busy and have a beer. And I walked out, this is back in 78, with a $15,000 motorhome that I couldn't afford. But I thought, man, that is really cool. If I can drive around the country and see that stuff, boom. All right.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you all next week,
guys,
and appreciate your viewership tonight. Special thanks to Chris, Ryan.
Always,
good night, everybody.
Always coming along. See everybody next week.
See y'all.
Nice.
Cheers.
Guys.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.